Oh shit, are we live?
Yep.
Normally it makes a little dingy sound or something. Shit. Hi everybody, this is Heretical Weekends number 31, The Destruction of Todd White. And with me today are the usual suspects, Run Gabagai Run and Turtle 2080. Hello,
Glad
boy.
we found our new intro. Oh shit, are we live?
Yeah, I wish I could, maybe I can sound clip that and just play it at the beginning of every one. Because it normally goes ding,
Yeah.
you know, when it starts, and it didn't do that. It just said live or starting broadcast or some shit. So, hey everybody, how's it going? It's been a while. We took a break, last week. We generally try to go opposite of Magic Sandwich because that show is way too popular, and we're not. So, we take what we can get as far as viewers, and so we go opposite Magic Sandwich. Welcome everybody. Hope your Sunday is well. So this was Todd White is a person that was made relevant to us or made known to us by Gabagai here, and he sent us a couple, or Turtle and I, a couple of videos about this guy faith healing and doing street healing, and one of those was in like on the Vegas Strip, right? Was that where it was?
Yeah. Apparently he had, I don't know, a period of time where he was located there. He's, I guess his home base is in Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was walking around, and I think I put some links in the Google Hangout, little box there, the text box or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was half expecting Chris Angel just to walk up and punch him right in the face, stealing his shit, So I will let Gabagai sort of kind of take the reins and tell us how he came about this video, or how Todd White even popped up on the radar here. Gabby,
sure.
Yeah, go for it, man. Take it away.
Yeah, well, just an acquaintance of mine from Facebook had posted that video. The video that I originally saw and shared with the gang here on Heretical Weekends was Todd White giving a sermon, and man, he's so like just full of himself and projects this, works so hard to project this spirit-led image. I'm using air quotes there. Even as he's introducing the story that he's about to tell, he stops and pauses and like says something weird about God bless him, like completely unrelated to anything that he's talking about. But I guess that's the whole idea, is he's gonna stop and do what he's led by the Spirit to do at any given moment, and that's how he has these magic powers. So, and he goes on to tell about how he was invited to come to a class at a local high school. I don't know how much detail do you want here.
No, just kind of how it popped up on your radar, because I haven't exactly given a sort of quick bio on Todd White.
Okay.
Yeah. So
the bottom line was, the way it popped up on my radar was an acquaintance of mine posted it on Facebook, and I went and saw what the video was about. And the guy that posted it tends to be very he likes that kind of stuff. He likes the idea that God really works in reality in the way that Todd White kind of portrays that it should work. So yeah, I was curious to see what it was, and started watching it and was like, oh my, and then you start reading comments and things in the YouTube videos, and people are very serious about believing that what's going on or what's told in these videos is real.
Right. So for those of you who don't know who Todd White is, Todd White is associated with a ministry called Lifestyle Christianity, and you can feel free to Google that and take a look. And I think part of his appeal is his appearance. You know, much like Ken Ham has his Australian accent, you know, the cool preacher has always been a thing in church, right? Because and I'm not even making a joke. I remember when my mom would come back from church and she would tell us about you know, whatever pastor or whoever was preaching that day, and we had this perception of like the stuffy, you know, preacher guy or whatever, real conservative with this, you know, stick up his ass, that whole thing. But you know, now it was like, no, he's totally cool. He watches all the same TV shows. You know what I mean? Like, he's just like one of us, you know. He's not this judgmental, stuffy, you know, conservative guy. And growing up, when I moved out, going to college, when I was taking the bus, and you would get ambushed by Christians at the bus stop, you know, they would make it this cool thing. Like, yeah, Pastor Steve, he comes plays volleyball with us and this and that. And Todd White is just sort of like, he has the Hawaiian shirts, he's got the dreads, you know, he's like the Bill and Ted of like pastors, you know, and he just has like this, you know, laid back, real sort of like Margaritaville look to him. And right, he should be the guy making you like a rum drink at a tiki bar. Yeah, I can get a picture of him. Turtle asked for a picture, and I will. Let me. Yeah,
'cause I think seeing him is a substantial part of the experience of Todd White.
All right, I just randomly Googled a picture here, so that didn't do anything.
There was a split second where it looked like it was doing something.
Right. How about now? Okay, so
There we go. Yeah, that's him.
this is him. Oh, great! I picked the wrong one. But yeah, that's him. And if it's not a mugshot, he just really looks like that. But if you Google any of his pictures, it's, you know, he has the dreads and the colorful shirts and I think his preaching style, however you want to describe it, is very sure of himself, much like Guy says. And in the video where he was talking about speaking at this school, he has a tendency just to go, he'll say part of his anecdote, and he'll go, "True story. I'm just speaking the truth. I'm just being truthful with you, man." Like, you know, like, it reminds me of those. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when people just went, they'll type something and they'll go, "Just saying, just saying." You know, have you ever had people say that to you, like in conversation? Just saying, man, just saying. Yeah. And it's really annoying, but that's kind of his attitude, where, you know. He comes across as he's telling the story. It's a little matter of fact, you know. But
yeah, and the more he has to say it, and you're right, he does say, "I'm just telling the truth," or, you know, something along those lines. The more he says it, the more it's like, yeah, I don't think so.
Right.
The more you have to try and convince me that, the less likely that it is the case that you're telling the truth.
Right, and I don't know if the videos that Gabba guy posted with him on the strip are before he got his ministry going, or if it's just an extension of his ministry, because a lot of these guys want to be, sort of relate to the common man, I guess. So they're out on the street doing their thing like Jesus, you know, and that kind of stuff. And quite frankly, the stuff he was doing wasn't all that spectacular. I mean,
well, do we want to start with the video that? Do
you guys want me to play the video, or does someone else want to share it that has it up right away? Because I don't have it up, ironically.
Well, but do we want to start with the one that Gava guy found first, the one where he's talking about it, or at least describe it, Gava guy?
Hold on, let me see if this is the video. Oh, this is the. Hold on. You want the school one or the Vegas strip one? Which one do you want first?
The school one where he's talking about the school.
School.
Oh. The link that you gave is no longer available.
Oh, they took it down. Was it the link to the actual Facebook post where my friend posted it?
Yeah.
I wonder if he took that down.
Well, here's the interesting story, folks. Gava guy actually contacted the school that Todd White spoke at and got a little information from the person that dealt with him. So
Well,
while I look at the video, Gabby, why don't you tell us what that investigation garnered?
Well, we should say what the video was first before
Yeah.
we debunk it.
Well, well, all right. We do things backwards here, folks. I'm just searching for it on YouTube right now. So if one of you guys has it before me.
Yeah, I had trouble trying to find that particular one on YouTube for whatever reason. I don't know if it was, maybe it could have been posted on like Vimeo or some other website for the the link on Facebook.
The thing is, he wears that ridiculous shirt in like many videos, so it's hard to find that exact one.
I know, yeah, and there's a whole lot. Like, I think is it CBN, the Christian Broadcast Network? They have a lot of videos, and that's where a lot of the stuff that was like on the Vegas Strip was, at least a part of their programming on CBN. It seemed like, because it had the CBN logo and whatever. But I'll give a brief description. I mean, he talks about in the video where he's preaching at the church about this high school, and the class he says he was invited to speak in was a class where they debate different religions and have people from all different kinds of religious beliefs and philosophies come in and talk to the students, and the idea. Oh, you've got it? Okay.
I think, or it's from a Japanese somebody with a Japanese account, but I don't. It just says Todd White high school debate class, so I'm not sure if it's the actual.
Ooh, that would be interesting too.
I can't actually get like the, on Google Hangouts you have the 3 options, and it's not giving me 3 options. It's giving me 1 option, and that 1 option is the one where it distorts the whole screen. So
can't do it.
You may have to deal with it. It also doesn't help that I just closed out the browser. So give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
My browser just freaking closed on me. What the heck happened?
We're having some technical issues today. There's no
I
ding.
love you, Google Plus.
The class is supposedly this religious debate class, and he is brought in to represent. Yeah, there it is. Go ahead.
First of all, I'd like to start out by saying I'm done with debate. I'm just so done with debate. It doesn't fix anything. It builds walls. It's not good. I'm right, you're wrong. You're right, I'm wrong. Okay, we both walk away thinking we're right and we're very wrong. Does that make sense? Okay. So there's this school that I live by, and the school, it's a high school that they tried to bring intelligent design in about, and I think it's like 5 years ago. They tried to bring intelligent design in as one of the curriculums, and all it was there was a designer that designed everything. Like, they were trying to bring God into the schools, and they fought it and they knocked it out. Okay? And there was this big protest and picketers and all that stuff. It was a big deal. It was on CNN News, and that high school happens to be about 6 miles from my house. So my home church is right around there, and there's a lady from my home church that, God bless.
As a side note, this fucking video is 25 minutes, but we're not listening to this whole thing. I just want to point out that this motherfucker should be making me a mojito, not preaching to me. I mean, just with that shirt.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's the point where he pauses and does his weird little prayer thing right in the middle of everything.
It's a high school, and this lady that is friends with one of the teachers there said, Todd, there is a class in the high school that is a religious debate class. And kids can take it as a curriculum, and what they do is they bring in Muslims, they bring in Hindus, they bring in Sikhs, they bring in Wiccans, they bring in They bring in every different religion into there so that students can be well informed to make a choice. See, there's really no match. It's game over. But we have to know who we are in the midst of that, or we'll try to argue our point. So I go into the classroom, I meet them in the office, and I'm like, hey, how you doing, guys? My name's Todd White, and I'm here to meet Mr. Hoover. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll call him. And they call him, and he comes down. And I start talking to the ladies about Jesus. Because I'm in the high school. They're kind of limited in schools from what they can say, but I'm not, because I'm not part of their high school. Really. And if the kids get a hold of this, it'll change everything. Really. Because the kids aren't shut down. They can talk about everything they want to. They can talk about Jesus if they want. I'm sure, oh, that would be just awesome. Anyway, really, because I'm starting to go into schools. It's crazy what God's doing. It's nuts, man. So I go into the classroom, and Mr. River brings me in, and all the students are there. And they're like, what? Because I'm a guy coming in and talk about Christianity. And they've never seen anything like me. It's true. It's not normal. Because the people they bring in, they had 2 Mormon elders there the 2 days before I came, and they drilled these guys, 2 classes, 2 days in a row. And they love to debate and argue and argue their point. So I'm just not going to argue. And Mr. Hoover goes, this is Todd White. He travels, and he is a Christian, and he's here to explain and debate with you about Christianity. So the kids are like, oh, they're ready to let me have it, man. Seriously. I've got 40-some kids in there that are ready to. So he goes, okay, I'm going to open it up for debate. Now, Todd, what you'll do is you'll call on hands, and they'll ask you questions. And I'm like, all right. So he's like, I hear this ding, ding in my heart. Like, right? Seriously. It's so weird, but that's honestly how I'm thinking. And I'm not being mean, and I'm not being arrogant. See, what you're hearing from me isn't arrogant. I'm confident. Really, I've got confidence.
Who would hear that and think that he was being mean?
So I see a girl over there. I can picture it. I can see it. And I said, hey, you. And she goes to speak, and I said, can I ask you a question before you ask me one? She goes, okay. And I said, isn't it true that you want to go to college to be a pediatric nurse, and you're graduating in 1 year, and you've already got accepted into a college? You've already got this ride that you're going to get? And she just looked at me. See, this is way better than debating with people. But your motive has to be pure, or you'll have to prove a point. See, my motive is not to do anything but to let them taste and see that the Lord is good. My motive is not to try to strong-arm them into praying my prayer. I'm all about populating heaven. But this is not, I got 5 souls, how many did you get, game? Our motive has to shift. I understand evangelism. And people say, Todd White, the evangelist. I get it, I understand. But I've walked in all of them. Because God says I can. Are you with me? Do you know the word evangelism? Do the work of an evangelist? Do you know what that means?
Bullshit artist? Con man?
That's it. Are you not supposed to preach all creation? Okay.
All right, so I don't know how much you want to get into that, but
No, that's good enough, I think.
okay.
Well, he hasn't really done anything yet, though.
Well,
You have to go a little bit longer.
All right, hold on a second.
He's not actually done anything yet.
that's true.
What if you knew who you were and you didn't have to debate with people anymore? And you just dared to love people. And it was so much that they couldn't get out of this. So I looked at the other side and I said, sir, I said, you play baseball and you play football. I said, but you damaged your right shoulder and you can't throw anymore. He goes, no, I didn't. I said, yes, you did. I wasn't being mean, but he was trying to lie to me. And in the place that I was at right there with these students, it wasn't happening. And I wasn't being mean. I said, come here, young man. There was a reason for that. He just happened to be the class clown that everybody looked up to. And he was a bold one. And he tried to lie to me. I said, please come here. He goes, what are you going to do? I said, I'm representing Jesus Christ. I'm just going to pray for you. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, come here. So I put my hand on his shoulder, prayed. He goes, what the? And he starts to, like, almost cuss. And the teachers, like, it's just awesome. So one thing happened after another, and I have 55 minutes with these students. And I put a seat in the front, and I sat it here. And I called it the hot seat. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call on you. And when I call on you, God's going to tell me what's going on with you, and I want you to come up here and sit in the seat. So I would call on them, and they would be so freaked out. I remember the first girl, she comes up, she's like, and she's shaking. I'm not being mean to her. I love her. I'm not trying to hurt her. I'm not going to hurt her. God's not going to hurt her. He loves her. She's like, and her friend is like, oh, are you okay? She's like, I don't know. I'm not being mean. This is real. It's so real. I wouldn't lie to you. I don't have to exaggerate. God's good.
Of course he wouldn't.
He really is. Dude, you can't exaggerate God's goodness. That's legal. Because it's beyond what you can ask or think. But you don't have to exaggerate a testimony. Just tell the truth. It'll change lives. So I sat her down, prayed for her. She gets healed. She's in tears. She's crying. She gets up and she walks, and there's a guy sitting behind the teacher that comes and walks, and he's leaving. I said, sir, before you go, you have a real problem with your back. It's giving you trouble. It's on the right side. He's like, yes. I said, can you please sit down for me? He says, okay. So he sits down, and I pray for him, and God heals him. And I said, sir, you also have kidney stones, and they're really bad, and I need to pray for your kidney stones right now because God's going to remove them. All the kids are freaked out right now. This is awesome. It's really fun. Do you understand that when you live this way, if God is for you, who cares who's against you?
All right, so I'm tired of getting preached at by one of the Beach Boys, but okay, so you get the idea. Now, that person with the bad back, Mr. Hoover, is the guy you got in contact with, was it not, Gabby?
Yeah. So I'm getting an echo.
Are you really? Is it me?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's always me. Let me mute out.
So in the video, he talks about how the high school that he goes to was where this kind of nationally, it was something that happened on the national stage with intelligent design and things. And so my first thought is, well, Dover, Pennsylvania is where that happens. And I Google Todd White and see, well, sure enough, he's located very near to Dover. It's got to be that high school. And so I then did a search for Dover High School and then searched for the teacher's name. And there was a staff directory listed on the high school website. And so I said, well, why don't I email him and see, if I get a response? And I really wasn't sure I was going to get anything back, but to my surprise and delight, he was very quick and sent out a response. So, he confirmed that it is true that Todd White did go to visit the school. He did speak in the classroom. And let me pull up the specific response that he gave to me. So my email to him, and he didn't respond to all of the points that I asked him to respond to. Oh, doggone it! Where did my?
But that he responded to anything was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. Oh, here we go. So my email said, Dear Mr. Hoover, a friend of mine posted a video on Facebook. In the video, evangelist Todd White claims to have visited your high school near his home in Pennsylvania, blah blah blah. I figured it must have been he must have been talking about Dover High School and mentioned a class with your name. I found your name in the staff directory. Here's the video. I said, I'm not a journalist or anyone of consequence. I'm just a skeptic and interested in verifying some things for myself. I said, on your view, did Todd White get the facts right? Were students healed? Did Todd White say the things he claims to have said to them in the video? Do you know if he got details on any students that he spoke with from you or another teacher? He seems to imply that people were healed of asthma and possibly a shoulder injury. Can you confirm any of these things? So you all want me to just read the response that he gave me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the teacher says, Todd believes he healed them. Kids enjoy Todd because they've never seen anything like him before. Todd was vague and would make a general statement. For example, he wanted to heal my back, making the assumption that I had back problems. I'd say most guys around my age do. He did the same with the students. He toned down the religion because he had to in this setting. He'll play that up for a religious video. Todd was an entertaining person. It's one thing to watch a faith healer on a video and quite another to have Todd come in with his hyper enthusiasm. Any healing Todd has done has a shelf life of a few minutes to a few days in my experience. Todd believes and others believe with him. And he hasn't been back in this teacher's class for at least 5 years, he said.
So that was a while ago.
So yeah, and I expected the video was probably referring to something that happened a few years ago. So
we didn't get to the part, but at the end of that video, he no, there's no echo anymore. But at the end of that video that we watched, he talks about the possibility of him going back. So I guess that never happened. But
well, I mean, it could be if he had been there and the video was recorded, sometime in the time frame of 5 years ago, and he went back, shortly after that. It could be 5 years from now or whatever. It might have just been within a few months' time, and he spoke about it in the church and then went back shortly after or something.
Now, do you think that his description of the student's reaction is any kind of accurate, or do you think, and if it is, do you think it's because they were amazed at what he was actually, or what he was, doing, or more of his sort of cartoon-like behavior, with the
Well, I highly doubt. I mean, in that video where he's talking, he's saying all these specific things about, oh, you're going to this college and whatever, and he's very specific, but that's not the indication that the teacher gave. He said vague. So I suspect he said something like, oh, you're going to school or something like that, and wasn't specific, or you play sports and maybe you hurt your shoulder. And he even in the video says the kid said, no, I didn't. And he just assumes that the kid is lying.
No, Jesus told him.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that I find so fascinating about people like Todd White is the question of, do they buy into their own bullshit, or is he does he really believe what he says, or does he know what he's saying is fake, and he just knows how to play the crowd?
Well, it's kind of funny. I read an article just this morning from a webpage. Are you guys familiar? It's not like a news webpage. It's cracked.com. You guys heard that webpage? But there was a guy that wrote an article that said he used to be a fake faith healer. And he gave like a little list of how to tell a fake healer is fake or something like that, something along those lines, right? Like tips for faith healers or something like that. And in one of his points, his bullet points, he said there are some faith healers that really buy into their own shit, and there are others that know that they're not, and that are faking it. I think he said more along the lines of people that are doing psychic surgery and stuff, where they're like pulling the fake guts out, and they're,
yeah,
right.
That stuff is pretty much all fake, and everybody knows that. but there are people that especially believe in the woo-woo and that kind of thing, that honestly believe they have some sort of like magical powers. So, I mean, I would guess it'd be a mixture of both. I mean, I've met people that are so I know people currently right now that believe they're psychic, like, on a daily basis. Like, they get psychic impressions and stuff. So, I mean, it's not too far for me to believe that someone can believe they can heal other people. Not a big stretch.
Yeah, I'm getting like a rumbly noise from you, Gavagai. I don't know.
Oh yeah, sorry, I've got a fan blowing because I'm I'm hot in the attic.
You're in an attic?
It's a spare room above the garage. It's got carpet and painted walls and things, but
Is that where you do all your evil atheist rituals?
right.
So yeah, I mean, you know, these guys. Okay, so has anybody heard of Darren Brown?
Yes.
He has a great show on YouTube. And before we do that, I kind of want to show something real quick. I want to show the tip. Where is that fucking thing? I want to show a quick video of the guy of Todd White straightening out the person's ankle.
Oh yeah.
The street healing thing.
Yeah, I gotta find myself.
I watched a couple of videos. I can't remember which one is the one that you showed us.
Is this the one where he's got the amputee at the end?
I think so. But there's one where he. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find this. Okay.
Muscle, every grow right now. Every muscle, every tendon, every ligament in Jesus' name. Thank you, God. In Jesus' name. You should be feeling something both in your leg right now. Feel moving, yeah. I guarantee you do. So good, dude. So good. You gotta get him. No, man, come on. You're not able to touch your toes. Just hold on. Father, I thank you in the name of Jesus, God, for amazing grace. In Jesus' name, every muscle, every tendon, every ligament. In Jesus' name, right now. Loosen. Touch your toes, dude. Come on, man. Father, I thank you in Jesus' name, God, for amazing grace.
So there was another video where he was healing. I guess it was a girl. It was a bunch of girls, and he straightened out her legs. You know, because they were like uneven, or one was slightly longer than the other.
That's his main trick, it seems.
Right. Okay. So we're all on board with that one, and let me see if I can. So then there's this video.
With Geico, I get 24/7 access to.
Well, that doesn't count.
I didn't realize he was behind Geico.
No, he's the caveman.
It's not for some product placement. All right.
Healer leg into YouTube. This impressive demonstration has been performed and filmed in a guerrilla style all over the world. I'm going to show you how this works with my co-writer, Ian Sharkey, who genuinely has arthritis and back problems.
Starting with hips has now moved into kind of top of my spine, my back, hands. There's always something somewhere that's kind of constantly in pain. You know.
Okay. Classically, what spinal arthritis will do is it'll shrink as the muscles shrink. It'll shrink one of your legs, man, which I think in your case it looks like it's on this side. Can I bring your legs out? Excuse me. Nathan, do you want to come and have a look at this? Oh yeah, it's a good couple of inches shorter. Can you see, Nathan, this leg here has shrunk a couple of inches? Can you see the difference between, if you look at the heels? So what we're going to do is we're going to heal the arthritis in your spine. Father, cast out that devil of arthritis. We'll grow this leg. It's growing. I can feel that in my hand. I can feel it start to grow. It's like the foot is, look, you can see it's coming down to the length of the other foot. Now you can feel that. Can you see this? Can you see that? It's filling out. The calf is extending. The feet are now even. Those legs are now the same length. And you can feel that subside, yes? Your pain gone?
Yeah.
No, stand up for me. Can you stand up? Run around. Let me see. Just.
Easy.
How's your spine feeling at the moment?
Fine.
Genuinely?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not making this up. The spine is
no,
fine.
no,
Your leg, you saw that happen, didn't you? You saw that leg extending. You saw it, yes? This is all based on something that I put a lot of emphasis on this foot here, but as is what will be pretty obvious to most people at home, whenever you see them do this on YouTube, there's always they bring the legs up and they ask the camera to come in, and all that's happening at that point is they just loosen one shoe. Not the shoe we're all looking at, but the other shoe. All the trick is going to be is, while I'm talking about this leg lengthening, I'm just moving this shoe, just sliding it back on the heel. It's a very old, classic faith healer trick. But there's all sorts of other things I can make it sound like, oh, I know this is going to hurt your hamstrings to do this for a while. So I can say to you, you can feel this pain, can't you? So why don't we do this? And I'm saying, that pain's gone, isn't it? I lower your legs. You honestly will say yes. But you're talking about this hamstring pain because of this. It's nothing to do with your spinal pain.
Absolutely.
Likewise, when you stand up, you're not limping. There's no limping. We weren't limping before. No one said you didn't say you were limping.
No.
You touch your toes, jump around. You could do those things anyway.
Absolutely.
We said earlier on you're in pain all the time, but it's not in your spine. It's all over the place. But I can say to you at the end of that, and your spine is, how's your spine feeling? It's fine, because it wasn't hurting anyway.
Yeah.
It is the leg lengthening trick that is absolutely the mark of the Charlatan. Mark of the Charlatan.
So that was from Darren Brown's video Miracles for Sale, as you'll see in the top corner. But nothing new. Nothing new at all.
Wait a minute. So it wasn't real?
I mean, to me, the real trick is getting people who think that they are experiencing something or to get somebody to think that they're experiencing something, I guess. Like I noticed in the Todd White video that if you look at the ankles that he's holding the one differently than he's holding the other one, and I suspect he's actually kind of pulling on the one ankle to give the guy the sensation that his leg is extending. That would be my assumption as well, but based on that video.
And if you watch some of the other people that he speaks to, it's always like, do you feel something? Of course you do, and go ahead.
There's in that, I think it's in that same video that we watched, maybe just after that, where he pulls the guy's, he's literally pulling the guy's leg. Like he's doing another kidney stone one, I think, on this woman, and like there's another woman there who's holding her like side, and like the woman who's not being healed is really reacting like, oh my goodness, isn't this amazing? And the woman who is being healed, like there's just this beautiful look of like, I'm supposed to be reacting, I guess, but like she's just like has this kind of like she's not clear what kind of thing she's supposed to be feeling, but she knows that she's supposed to be reacting to some, there's supposed to be something she's supposed to be feeling, but she's not clear on what that is. But like they put it in this video because both Todd White and this other woman both are reacting like something's happening, and the woman who's in theory actually being healed is just kind of standing there like grinning awkwardly.
Do you want me to find that part?
You don't have to, but and the other goofy thing in that video is that they do actually have an amputee who, in theory, Todd heals. Now, Todd has very short hair in that, well, comparatively, hair in that video, so I'm sure that guy's legs must have grown fully back by this point, one would think. Because he prays for the guy's legs to grow back, and of course it doesn't happen in this video, but one can only assume that over the course of time those legs grew back, right?
Of course. Oh my God, what a moron! Sorry.
Yeah, well, and that video, if I'm remembering correctly, was like a Christian broadcast network video, so like they fully bought into that. They put this up on their channel and then on their YouTube or whatever. So it's like
he looks like a guy that should be selling me marijuana.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with the amputee and the kidney stones or whatever, that to me is the worst part of the whole thing, is that there, he may come across people who have real legitimate health issues, and he's giving them false hope, because no amputee has ever been healed. Nobody has grown back limbs. And if they genuinely believe that that's possible because this guy prays for them, that's such a jerk move. And and then, for people that have, if that woman actually did have kidney stones, and if
I have no reason to think that she did, though.
Yeah,
I highly suspect that he just told her she did, and
right.
it's like, okay, if you say so.
Yeah, and now they're gone. I didn't know I had them, but now I don't.
Yeah. Well, because that's his two main things are back problems. He fixes people's back problems by growing their legs out, and then he heals people of kidney stones, because there was that both of those things came up in his story about when he went to the high school. Some kid who had kidney stones, and then at the very least it was it was both the teacher and then another student, according to him, had back problems. So
right. Well, and then there was a kid with a shoulder injury, supposedly, even though the kid didn't say that he had the shoulder injury. Yeah. And then
actively denied it.
Yeah, and someone with asthma too. And the way he tells his stories, it's so choppy and broken up. There's no. He goes from one thing to another. One moment he's calling a kid a liar for saying that the kid, for the kid telling him that he didn't have a shoulder injury, and then the next minute he's talking about somebody else. He doesn't finish the kid's shoulder injury story. He jumps from that to the teacher reacting to him praying for the kid, and he says the teacher was like, "What the?" And then there's a girl, and so there's no conclusion to that portion of the story. Was the kid?
When there is a conclusion, it's just, and then I healed him, and then there was somebody else.
And I'm not being mean.
Yeah,
just being real.
Not being. Just saying.
That line, he says that over and over and over again in that little segment with in the church. Like, who's thinking he's being mean?
The one time I could see it is when he's talking about the girl who was shaking. I could see somebody interpret as though he's making fun of her or whatever. But there seemed to be no point to that girl in his little discussion other than to say that she was shaking. But
then he goes, and then I healed her, and then he moved on to the teacher. Yeah. He never said what was wrong with her.
Did he heal her? What? I don't remember. I don't think he
specified what was wrong with that girl. He just said she came up and she was afraid, and her friend was like, "Oh, it's gonna be okay."
It would be so fun to produce a skit based on the exact words that he says in that little clip, because it would be so incoherent and jumping from just people reacting to things and just it's nuts. And then people like my friend on Facebook watch that and see, oh, this is a man of God who is so confident that he doesn't have to argue, he doesn't have to provide logical arguments or defense. He just goes, and his confidence and the power of God moves, and people just get absorbed into it.
Don't you mean his Godfidence?
Yes, that's what I mean.
This is what it's like when I hear him speak, and he's faith healing.
Round one.
I never get enough of Benny Hinn.
Classic.
So yeah, he does kind of gloss over a lot of these cases, and it seems more. I think the reason he does that too is because he makes these speeches so often, and he doesn't really have to convince anybody in the audience. I mean, they already buy into it. Just why he doesn't have to go into detail because they're just going to assume he's right anyway.
He is a good salesman. I will give him that. I mean, he has this confidence oozing out of him that's completely unwarranted, but it's the way our brains are wired, we buy into that. When somebody is so confident about what they're doing, a lot of times, like, the default is to assume that, well, there's some legitimate reason for them to be so confident. I mean, that's why con men are able to do what they do, is because of the way our brains are wired.
Well, you know what the con means, right?
Confidence.
Exactly. Traditionally, and maybe I don't think I'm wrong on this, but I think it's confidence men, when they did their trade, never actually took anything, but they were so convincing and confident that you would give them stuff out of your own volition.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's easily what this kind of is to me. But
that's exactly what it is. I mean, like I said earlier, in his specific case, I find it interesting to know whether or not he himself buys into it or not. But
I can tell you, I went to a funeral, which I can tell you is no party, and when you sit there and everybody in the room talks about this person being in heaven, right? Everyone was religious, I think, but me. And I had to go because, you kind of get drug along, with your girlfriend or whatever. And quite frankly, the relative died at a very inconvenient time for me. So I had to go. And people there talk about heaven like it's fucking Milwaukee or like New York, like they are, everybody walks in.
Milwaukee is heaven.
And
yeah, I can vouch for that. I live there.
They go in, and everybody looks at first of all, it's a open casket, right? Which to me is a complete fucking moronic sort of tradition. But and they look at the corpse, and I don't understand why that person that puts the makeup on and they can't do it right, and you can totally tell it's a guy because there's way too much makeup. It doesn't even look like the person, And then people walk up and they just get disappointed, and they're like, "That's not her. That's not her. She's in heaven." And everyone gives their speeches or whatever about the person, and they talk about these places and things like they're real things. And so, in a lot of ways, I can see people's brains go, yeah, totally. She's in a better place. She's in heaven. It's really easy to buy into when everyone around you sort of, has the same sort of belief and believes it wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
and I can see that happening in these sort of events where this guy is like, they're already buying into miracles and gods and all that shit already, and this guy walks up and says, "Hey, I heal people," and and gives all these anecdotes, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, of course." He's so confident, just like everyone was so confident that heaven existed, and so confident that this person's in a better place, and this and that. They speak so confidently about it, everyone buys into it. I think it's the same kind of thing. Like, he's just, whether he believes it or not, is kind of, I don't know if it's relevant or not. At least
I think to me it's relevant in when we're talking especially about like him taking people's money, because like he earns a living by going around and talking and preaching, right, and whatever. And there's like, to me it's not really any different than anything else where you're doing something that's wrong. And if you, like, I have more sympathy for you if you're honestly just mistaken than if you are intentionally doing bad stuff to other people, knowing that what you're doing is wrong. Like, it's a different level. Like, so to me, it matters. But I mean, in terms of like the actual damage that he's doing, I guess not until he stops. But I don't know. Yeah, when Gavigai, when you showed us that first video, you didn't really say anything about it. You just said you wanted to talk about the video on the show. And so when I started watching it, it honestly takes a couple of minutes before you can really tell, if you don't know going in, what you're watching. Because I mean, at first he's talking about the high school and about the intelligent design thing, but I wasn't sure what side he was on.
Right.
And like, as he's like pacing around the stage, like, I can kind of get the sense of like, okay, so there's instruments in the back, and it looks kind of like he's in a church. So I kind of slowly put together that okay, he's speaking to a congregation, so he's probably like, when he says like all they wanted to do, or they wanted to bring God into school, and like the way he says that, even like I still wasn't sure about whether he thought that was a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
But then all of a sudden it like takes this sharp turn where he's just this magician and he's performing all these magic tricks, and like and it's not even like a normal like, oh, I went to this school and I preach these things. I mean, he's like I said, a wizard performing casting these spells and doing all these things, and it's like such a sharp turn in the story. Like it's like, what the hell just happened? Like, what am I watching here? And he's so in his description of it, he's so specific about like what's going on, that like as far as like him saying like describing the kids, like what they're doing and their background and that kind of thing, that is just like, how can anybody, like, I can't picture myself when I was a Christian, like, I say this, but maybe I'm wrong, but I have trouble picturing myself buying into that, even if I were a Christian still, just because it's so, it seems so different than what most Christians would be willing to say. And I think that's part of what makes him appealing, is that he's willing to say these very specific like things that he's done and things that he it all goes back to that confidence, I think, that portrayal of confidence.
Yeah, and he's got, like, they call it a testimony that he was a former drug user, addict, and that
the hell you say.
Yeah, he actually probably was the guy that you would be buying pot from long ago. So, but I think that whole thing goes into this idea that he's being used in this way, and I think that I would have very easily bought into this when I was a believer, because to me it would have fed into this idea that the God of the Bible really does do miraculous things in the world, and we just have to kind of tap into that.
I think for me the thing that would be hard to believe is just the sheer rapid pace that he tries to present. Like, I mean, he goes into a classroom and he basically describes healing every single person in there. Like, I mean, without any shadow of a doubt, he's healed all of these people and he knows all these things. I think that would have been difficult for me to buy into, just because that's not what my experience in the church was like, and that wasn't the experience in church that even like the pastors tried to give off. There's such a, like, God has all these different, he's got yes, no, and wait, and a lot of times his answer is no, and we just have to live with that. Whereas Todd White does not present a no option. Like, God he does it. You ask for it, and bam, it's done.
That's sort of like the G-Man school of his answered prayer argument, isn't it? Like yes, no, or not right now, or something.
Well, that's pretty standard.
Yeah.
It's like when you pray for something, right? You're asking for God to heal or something, and the answer from God is no better than a magic 8-ball. Then there's probably something going on there. There's probably problems. You know what I mean? Like, not at the moment. Like, okay.
Yeah, well, that was when I first started getting it. I was an atheist for a while before I started really like looking into debating or kind of counter apologetics or anything. But I think it's still up. But the Why Won't God Heal Amputees webpage and video series on YouTube, there's a video about that specific apologetic, the yes, no, or wait. And like he points out that you can get the exact same results if you pray to a jug of milk.
Right.
That you will get a yes, no, or wait answer no matter what you pray to.
Right. They tried to. I remember a long time ago they tried to present that same argument to G-Man with a can of soup.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember that, and I forgot who it was. I think it was. I don't know if it was J.D. Kane or if it was Hogtie or.
There's multiple people have presented variations on this. Yeah.
You know, and I had discussions with different religious people or Christians, right? And you tell them that you know your argument is fine, I guess, but that argument can be used for any god. So how do you determine that this is for your god when it could easily? I can use the same thing for a can of soup or the flying spaghetti monster or whatever, or fairies or whatever. And they go, well, it's different because you're just applying my argument to fairies, and that doesn't count. And I was like, I know, that's my point. And I'm like, well, you know, how can you? I think I used my favorite, which was I think universe farting fairies, and his response was like, well, you're just giving them God's attributes. So that's how. And I was like, well, you know, your argument isn't all that great. Your argument's just saying God did it. So how did that get us anywhere?
It didn't. It didn't.
Yeah, so, I mean, are we all on board that Todd White is probably a con man?
Yes.
I did go to his webpage, and I did look at a couple of pages, and there are a couple of them, you know, if you go to, like, contact or donate or, you know, his mission statement, and I think at the bottom of a lot of them it says, you know, it goes to his donate page. So,
yeah, I actually after watching that video and then kind of doing, and that was another thing, just real quick I'll mention, is very frustrating is going on to YouTube and then looking up Todd White and then just looking at the comments section, because they are, at least, and granted I didn't look at all his videos, but the videos I did look at, they were exclusively people who completely bought into it, and that was depressing.
Well, the other thing is a lot of them have no comments allowed. They've blocked any comments on the videos.
I think it's kind of funny. Okay, I take it back. Every single page you go to at the bottom, there's a thing that says, would you consider helping us to empower a generation who will make this fiery supernatural lifestyle of Christianity a normal and daily experience? Partner now. And then you click on that, and then it takes you to his donate page where he has a video where he's like, you know, if you can't give money, that's cool, but you want to help us out, and no pressure, and this and that. And then it's funny, you go to the submit a testimony page, you know, where you can write like what your testimony is, and then it says, we love to read testimonies. If you would like to write us about a testimony, you're thinking, Todd, and you kind of like, it's almost like filling out an application, your name, your phone number, and it says, unfortunately, it is unlikely we will be responding to these, but we will do our best to read them. What the fuck? What the fuck good is that?
If they don't have money attached, they will probably go into the circular file.
And then it says get prayer, or you can get a prayer, and then it says, if you notice Todd's schedule, it is demanding. When he's not traveling, he is focused on his family. Todd only has one very part-time personal assistant, and neither of us are able to make time to follow up on prayer requests. We encourage you to contact your local church or one of the many ministries out there that have prayer lines. We encourage you to watch many of Todd's teachings and post video that are posted online to strengthen your faith so that you may grow the situation you are in. And then, of course, when you scroll down, it says, would you like to consider helping us empower a generation, blah, 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 please donate.
I don't know how popular or well-known Todd White is, like, that he would get debunked, but one of the first things I did was Google Todd White fraud. And,
me too.
Did you? And what the only things that I came across were other Christians who didn't like his style of Christianity. I didn't come up against any real. It's almost like it's more about his preaching style than whether or not his healings are legitimate. Was the complaints that I came across.
Well, he has 18 dates booked. You know, pretty much every weekend. But they're at a bunch of churches, essentially.
Yeah. I find it really frustrating, and this thought came across me as I was looking at the YouTube comments, but the thought of like trying to expose somebody like this to people who already buy into it, and like just how difficult it is to get people to look at something like Todd White and come to the conclusion that he is in fact a con man. They're much more likely, in fact, I think, to turn against you if you like try and say, hey, this doesn't, he's not really actually doing anything, he's actually trying to cheat you. But I think when people have bought into something, they're resistant to criticism of it. And I think
absolutely.
that's kind of a depressing.
And you have confirmation bias that, you know, this stuff is real because I want to believe it's real. It fits in with what I already believe about the world. And, you know, but one of the things that I kind of wanted to discuss with my Facebook friend who posted this was, look, you know, if you think this is real, and I know for absolute fact that my Facebook friend fully believes that these kinds of things really happen, because he's talked to me about you know, things that he thought were supernatural and healings and whatever in his own life. Well, you know, why is it that you don't experience these things? And when I messaged him about it privately, he said, well, you know, his Todd White style isn't my style, but, you know, I think that he's doing a good work for God or whatever. Well, you know, why wouldn't that be manifest in your own life? Because I know absolutely that you have the faith that these things are real, that, you know, and that this God is real, and I know that my friend is not in things for money, so his motivations are not, you know, monetary. Why wouldn't this be happening in your life? But, you know, and that's one of the things that really, for me, I think caused me to stop and wonder from time to time, because I had absolute, you know, no doubt at certain points, and not all the time, but and I prayed and prayed, believing that what I was praying for was going to come true, that, you know, people would be healed and different things, and when it didn't happen, you know, I was able to excuse it with that, you know, rationale of sometimes God says no, but it really started to eat away at me when I had never experienced anything where, you know, a miracle happened and this God said yes to me.
You had that cold that one time and you got over it.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm scrolling through the comments, and you know, they're talking about the Todd White page on him healing on the Vegas Strip, and there, you know, some people are like, that's the power of God, yakety smackety, and someone posted, said, Jerry Savelle's daughter had fingers to grow back. All things are possible through the Father and His Son. So I googled Jerry Savelle's daughter real quick. Of course, she was a preacher, and apparently his daughter got her fingers chopped off by a rocking chair. I didn't get, because it's on a video, so I didn't get to listen to the video. So someone responds, where are the documents? And she responds back and says, if you are in unbelief, you should go online and contact his ministry and ask for the doctor's name and report. It happened, as I had heard both his or her testimonies. I don't need documentation because I believe. But Thomas doubted also, and he still turned out to be a mighty man of God. So you don't need proof when you just believe. I mean, why would you need? Why would you need? And that's the problem. People want to believe so badly. It dawns on me in my real life how many people believe in magic. They really do, just from a day-to-day standpoint. So, I don't know. But, hey, Gabagai, in our last 15, 20 minutes here, you said you had something else you want to discuss before the show started, so...
Yeah, so Huffington Post, and this has some local interest for me. There's a state legislator, Jason, what's his name? Jason Rapert. He's a state senator here in Arkansas. Not a U.S. senator, but an Arkansas senator. And the Huffington Post put out an article. This was actually back. I don't know why it came across my feed recently, but this was back in 2014 in June. So this Senator Jason Rapert is like hyper conservative. He's pushed for any kind of legislation that would limit abortion and anything religious, pro-Christian stuff. He's pushed it in the state legislature, and he's got a really bad reputation among anybody who's got any kind of liberal leanings at all. But so the Huffington Post article says GOP state legislator asks why America can't be more like Saudi Arabia. But when I went down and read, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on this too. Here's the actual quote, and this was from, I guess he was a guest on this local conservative radio program. But he says, when judges assert the will of the people holy in this country, WHOLLY, holy, they are pulling the rug out from underneath representative democracy. By the way, Saudi Arabia, they don't live under the same kind of law that we do. They live under the law that they see fit to live under there. We have that right here too, and that's why there's such an injustice here.
What is he referring to? I mean,
well, so I think he's complaining in the context. He's talking about the judges are overturning laws that were put into place by elected officials on the grounds that they're unconstitutional, even if the popular opinion. So this particular discussion was about the marriage definition between between a man and a woman.
I see that now. Okay.
Right. So he's saying, well, judges are overturning this law, and then he says Saudi Arabia, they don't live under that same kind of law that we do. They live under the law that they see fit to live under there. So I guess in a way, he is saying, he kind of wishes that we didn't have constitutional accountability.
It seems like to me that he thinks like Trey Jadlow does, that that this is like a Christian nation, you know what I mean? And so like when judges overturn stuff, and they're taking away the quote unquote rights, they don't have those kind of laws in Saudi Arabia, because the religious run shit. And is that what he's kind of comparing to? Like they're losing ground that way. I get what he's kind of saying, but what the fuck is he kind of saying?
Yeah, I don't know, and I guess the article doesn't really say a whole lot. It just kind of gives his thing and talks about the what life is like in Saudi Arabia after that. It says Jason Rapert also told Arkansas News in May after Piazza's ruling that he thought there could be a push to an initiative for allowing judicial recall elections on the ballot in November.
Wait, I think I'm right. Hold on a second. So on this Huffington Post article, it says, a Republican state legislator miffed about an Arkansas judge ruling that struck down the state's same-sex marriage ban suggested on a conservative radio show that politicians should emulate Saudi Arabia by passing laws off Christian doctrine, as Saudi Arabia does with Islam. That's kind of what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. So I when I initially read his quote, at first I was thinking that they were kind of misrepresenting what he was saying in this in this headline saying that he asked, why can't America be more like Saudi Arabia? But as I read it again, I think that's actually what he was saying. So
yeah. Well, when you read the headline, it makes it sound like he's saying we should be like Saudi Arabia, like specifically, like as strict as they are. Maybe I don't know. It could be taken so many ways, but he seems to be that same kind of thought process that Trey Jadlow is, where it's like we're trading our freedoms for erotic liberty, as Trey Jadlow puts it. Or, we're losing our First Amendment rights because of erotic liberty. And it's just a real backwards way of thinking. Like, I don't get how somebody, even if you're not religious, I don't know any people that are really conservative and not religious, but what benefit could there be from saying we don't want to progress forward as a society? Like, I don't get it.
It's dangerous.
I don't get it. They're literally...
to play Christian's advocate or whatever, they don't necessarily see it as progress.
No, yeah.
Right. So, the left coins themselves as progressives, but the Christians don't see that as progress.
Well, they're still holding on to doctrine that's like a couple of thousand years old. So anything after that, is good.
Well, not if you're going the wrong way. Even from our own secular standpoint, if we have all this medicine that we think is great, and then in the future we decide to not use medicine for whatever reason, even though that's in the future, like that's not progress as far as I'm concerned.
It's funny, in the article, it says, after the quote, it says, Saudi Arabia, of course, is a country where women can't drive or play sports in school, and where they must ask a male relative's permission before they can leave the country, open a bank account, or begin a job. And I read the first part of that sentence, and I was like, where women can't drive, and I'm like, I think I'd be okay with that. Just kidding. Just kidding. It was a joke. I'm joking.
The views expressed in this program
I'm kidding.
may not represent all.
Wow, Gavin Guy, you're such a misogynist. Yeah, I would easily put Asians in that category instead of women. Just kidding! I'm Asian. Just kidding, folks. Oy vey. But,
Oy vey.
Right, exactly. Oy vey. So yeah, that's an interesting article, man. That was a good find.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's trying to say, like, even in this backwards place over there, they have something on us. But like, I think that's what his mindset was. Like,
yeah.
Like even in Mexico or wherever, they got better health care than we got here, or something like that. Some kind of like comparative.
Right.
Like, we think of this place as being below us, but they do something better than us. But the unfortunate part for him is that the reason that this place happens to be so backward is because of the thing he's trying to suggest is a better solution.
Right. Well, and then, what's the fix for that? Not abiding by constitutional protections for minority groups or, people that don't agree with you. That's the solution, is what he's saying. Well, we shouldn't have the legislature should be able to do whatever they want as long as it's approved by the majority of people. So by that same rationale, you could take away rights of minorities and minority citizens and things, because screw the Constitution.
Well, he did say
the majority of people want it.
Majority of people don't like politicians, so let's all round up all the politicians and then burn them at the stake. How about that? How does he like the sound of that? Majority rules.
He says in 2011 at a rally that minorities He told other Tea Party supporters in attendance that they should not allow minorities to run roughshod over what they believe in. And I was like, what?
He's a great guy.
I'd like to have him over for Thanksgiving, personally. But so yeah, I mean, wow, what a jerk.
Yeah, that's politics in my state.
Yeah, I know. That's very.
There's a lot of politics all over this country right now that are not looking all that great, but that's a particular Arkansas flavor right there.
He also said, I hear you loud and clear, Barack Obama. You don't represent the country that I grew up with, and your values is not going to save us. Great grammar there. We're going to take this country back for the Lord. We're going to take this. We're going to try to take this country back for conservatism, and we're not going to allow minorities to run roughshod over what you people believe in.
He said minorities?
Yes.
We're not going to let minority. Wow, that's really.
Well, I think he's talking about
people who hold minority opinions.
Yeah, just poor choice of words there.
Very, very poor choice of words, if that is in fact what he meant.
Which I think he's also known for, poor choice of words. He's just dumb in general. I mean, every time he pops up in the news, it's just like, my God, what did he say now?
Yeah.
Hopefully he never gets, off elected and put into, a national or statewide office for, in the federal government.
What would we do if we had a complete idiot running for president? But that's not possible. It's not possible that we could have a complete moron who every time that person's on the news, you're like, what did this person do now? What did they say? What an embarrassment. That's not possible.
One or more elected or potential candidates like that, right?
Yeah, well, you should say that could never happen again because we did have 8 years of Bushes. How strong was the Bush administration stuff in Arkansas?
Well, so he was elected here twice, I think. My view on it wasn't the same because I voted for him in the first election, and I was kind of in that transitional period in my life in that time. So the second time around, I voted for John Kerry. Yeah. But after the Kerry election and when Kerry lost to Bush, that was when I really started to get active and my politics changed quite a lot. The elections following that so 2004 was the Bush-Kerry contest, and then 2006 was kind of that in between, and Arkansas was really pretty democratic at that point. We maintained the governorship. Well, no, we won the governorship at that point, and had all of what they call the constitutional offices within the state. So the governor, the lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and treasurer, state treasurer, all were held by Democrats after that election because the pendulum had swung even within the state. Now, I don't know if there had been a presidential election at that point, would Arkansas have gone? I don't know. I think probably not. There was probably still enough support for Bush and kind of more conservative views at that time that could have even influenced the state elections at that point. But it was what it was. But then by the time you know, the Obama's election came around. Obama was not popular at all. So in 2008, everybody in Arkansas that was, you know, anywhere from moderate to conservative was just freaking out. So.
Did you guys see Obama's last speech? The correspondence there?
I just saw some clips from it from on CNN. I didn't see the whole thing.
Yeah, I saw some of those too. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I saw the very end of the video where he drops the mic, and I go, God damn it, I'm going to miss that guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss that guy.
Obama out.
Yeah, I have a feeling the next election, unless it's for me, Bernie, but it's going to be the lesser of two evils, and I don't think Trump's going to win, but I don't have a lot of faith in Clinton, so it makes me nervous. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it, right, guys? Unless you got something else.
Nope.
That's all I've got.
Who'd have thought a white politician from Arkansas says stupid shit? I can't imagine that. In other news, water is wet. But anyway, all right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Sorry, Rumpus, he wanted to come in, but that was like 3-4 minutes ago, and we're ready to go out. Yeah, I didn't want to bring him in for like a couple of minutes, and then you know what I mean, and then we're gonna right. So Rumpus, my apologies. Next time, again, just send me a message a little earlier, and we'll get you in here for sure because we all love you. So
yeah.
All right, everybody, have a great rest of your Sunday, and see you in a couple weeks.
See ya.